Hello, friends. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is just past high noon. May I be the first to say good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. It is December 17, 2024, yet a week and a day before it is Christmas Day. It is Locks for Trump Day 290. It is my episode 715 on these airwaves on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we're broadcasting on a lot of different platforms. Let me tell you about those. I'll introduce you to the players of the show, and we'll get this show lumbering under its own weight. So we've got a lot to do with only a week and a day before Christmas. And we'll get into every single thing that is on our plate and every single thing that is on the docket from a content perspective in just a moment. But I want to begin the program. Well, let me just do this. There's Bell K behind the glass. He's making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. We call him Headless Bell. We call him Headless Bell for a reason, because he chooses not to participate on the television side of things. More on that in a moment.
Correct.
Behind him is the one and only award-winning Ken Weaver. He is busily preparing new headlines in News Closet B for your edification and amusement.
Good afternoon, boys.
Hello, Mr. Weaver.
Yes. Good afternoon.
You can find us on 99.7 FM. That's 100,000 watts of FM power. You can also find us on your streaming application, any streaming application of your choosing. Just download us. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Then, of course, you can also download our app. And what else is left? Oh, yeah, Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Talk TV. Just like us and subscribe us. If you choose, you masochist in the audience, to go over there and see what we look like, you'll see me, you'll see Ken, you will not see Bell.
By the way, my beard has entered the portal. And I've already got an offer from Kennesaw State.
I've already got an offer from WABC in New York City.
They're looking for a punter.
You never punt. You never punt. You go for it, baby.
I would go for it. That's why I would not be a good football coach.
You'd go for it?
I'd go for it every time.
Ken, when did you first come to Super Talk?
February the 15th of 2015.
2015. Oh, man. Going on.
Be 10 years.
It'll be 10 years in February.
Yep.
Bell, when did you first come here?
2018? No, 2015.
2015.
Yeah, 2015.
2015. 2018, 2015, somewhere in there.
Late 30s.
Give or take 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, sure. I of course, we just celebrated my third-year anniversary at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I first got here. My first day on air was December 13th of 2021. I've enjoyed every single one of them. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. I'm appreciative of the friendships. I'm appreciative of all of you in the listening audience. And I am so dearly appreciative of the people and the friendships that I've made since I've been in Nashville. I miss desperately some of the friendships that I developed in Birmingham and always will. And I am appreciative of the friendships that we've developed in Nashville, Tennessee. And one of those friendships was with John Bozeman, a.k.a. Johnny B. Johnny B announced earlier today that he was no longer going to be with the company, and today would be his last day. It is not my place, and by the way, if it were my place, I don't know any of the circumstances surrounding how any of this came to be. All I know,
just terrible at eavesdropping.
Well, all I know, and I'm going to be serious with the audience for a moment, because I understand the emotions that go through the listening audience at a time like this. Because I've been through it. If you are in this business for any length of time, you've been through this. And if you are a listener, you are a family member. If you listen for any length of time, you become a family member. And if there's one thing that I'm going to say that might get me in trouble, it will be this, that the bosses that run our company do not understand that. They have never understood that. They have never, ever understood the deep emotional relationships that are developed on this radio station. They have never understood the deep connection, the bond that is created between the people that are on this radio station, the people that host these radio shows, the people that act behind the scenes, and you. They have never understood that. Now, I don't know that they can. I don't fault them for that. I'm not even saying it's good or bad. Because, frankly, in some ways, from a business standpoint, it's good because they are making decisions based on what is best for the company and perhaps best for the overall team and not necessarily best for the individual and not necessarily the most comfortable for the relationship that I just described. Outside of that, I can tell you this, that we found out late yesterday that Johnny B would no longer be with us. It is my understanding that, and this is all I'll say about it because it's all I know about it, it's my understanding that that conversation was initiated by the company. Here's what I know. In my, I started in radio when I was 15. I did it because all I knew about my father was that he was a radio host and that he was a good one. That's all I knew. I mean, I literally from the age of 5 to the age of 15 met my father once, I saw my father once for a week. He took me for a summer because, unbeknownst to me, the court had ordered him to do so. Otherwise, he would have gone to jail. But that's another story for another day. Bottom line is I watched him when I was 12 years old host an afternoon country radio show, and I was absolutely taken by the idea that when my dad turned on the microphone, that everybody stopped and listened to what he was saying. It was fascinating to me. And so I started in radio when I was 15 as a result of a lack of a relationship. And when this format got really special to me, particularly the talk format got really special to me, I started in the talk format when I was 26 in Montgomery, Alabama. And for the longest time, I thought it was about me. And I know that some of you laugh at that because you think I still do, but bear with me for a moment. Radio was good to me, and I hope that I was good to radio, and I hope that I was good to the community that I served, and I hoped that I was good to the people that I served, even prior to understanding the true joy and benefit of what we do on a daily basis. And that is this. When it stopped being about me and started being about you, it became truly special. It took me the better part of 15 years to figure that out. And I knew from the moment that I listened to Johnny B that he got it from day one. Obviously, his connection with Phil Valentine will be something that will be talked about and written about in the history books. And his relationship with Dan Madison, Nashville Morning News will as well. Johnny B's not dead. Johnny B is very much alive, and he's very much a friend, and he will continue to be a friend, and we desperately will miss him, and we love him. On a personal note, as full of ego and bluster and sound and fury as I am, anytime you leave somewhere that you've been for 20 years and you come to a place where nobody knows you, it's a pretty frightening experience. And everyone from Brian Wilson and the wonderful dinner that he and Dawn and my wife and I had 3 years ago at Legend Steakhouse to meeting Belle Kay at Waffle House, which is so on brand for both of those two people.
That is so true.
and then every single person that I encountered from a work experience, and by extension, every person that I encountered in the extended SuperTalk 99.7 WTN radio family was a positive one. And I cannot say enough about the people that I encountered, the people that I met. And I know this, there was one person who I knew that I needed to gain their respect, and that was Dan Mandis, because Dan Mandis was at the time program director, and he was key, along with Charlie Cook and Allison Warren, in hiring me to come to SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. But the one person, and I'm not making this up because we're talking about him, the one person whose approval I desperately wanted was Johnny B's. And he was as wonderful a friend and as warm and welcoming and as accepting. And it's not just because I have a love for Waylon Jennings and Dolly Parton. It's not, although that helped, I think. And that was a pretty wonderful thing. Because as I reminisce about his time and our time together, and obviously there will be friendships long, everlasting, way beyond radio. I thought back to the 15-year-old me, and I realized that I got into radio because of my father, but who I wanted to be was Johnny B. That's who every 15-year-old wants to be in radio. Every single one of us. We want to be Johnny B. And I want to thank him for his kindness and his friendship. And that will continue, and it will, listen, this guy has a hell of a lot to offer beyond these airwaves and a hell of a lot to offer this community and a hell of a lot to offer every single one of you that he calls friend. And we will continue to call him a friend. And we love him. Now, beyond that, I want to say one other quick thing about radio and what we do on a day-to-day basis. Because I mentioned that our corporate bosses will not, and I don't fault them for not understanding the relationship and the bonds that are created in this format. It is not for them to understand even necessarily, because it better positions them to have to make some of these types of decisions that they feel like, and that doesn't mean that we have to agree with them. But invariably, when any of this happens, those of us who are here, the Ken Weavers and the Bell Kays and the Matt Murphys of the world and the Dan Mandises, who, by the way, I know that Dan is hurting right now, and I know why. And I mean, we all get it. We don't get it on that level. We certainly get it. And if you did not catch Susan Valentine calling this morning, it was emotional. I mean, it was pretty special. Invariably, there's going to be emotions that lead to frustration or anger. And I understand that. And you'll see some of the posts and you'll see some of the comments, and maybe you'll make some of them yourselves about, not getting answers or not understand. I mean, we are a forward-facing business. Most are not. I know that you want to think that we do things differently, but we don't. It's just when we do something, everyone knows it. Everyone. When someone is fired in your business, everyone doesn't know it. Or when someone decides to retire in your business, everyone doesn't know it. Or when someone decides to move on to a different job in your business, everyone doesn't know it. In our business, because of the nature of the family relationship that we create, because of the nature of broadcasting, everyone's aware of it. And so it is very much more public than almost any other business in this city or in this state. So I will push back on this idea that, we're being secretive or that it's all nonsense. It is not my place, I don't know, but it would be a disservice and an insult to the man that is Johnny B to say anything further, except that we love him and we will continue to love him and we'll continue to hold on to him. And I want to thank him publicly on these airwaves, and as much as I can possibly imprint upon you how good of a human being he is and how good of a friend he's been, and what a hell of a broadcaster. You are everything that I want to be in radio. And I will continue to try to accomplish that and achieve that every single day that I'm on this air.
I was talking to Paul, our boss, before we came on the air, and he said something that really stuck out to me, which was, it's if you're firing somebody for cause, that tends to be a lot easier because you have reasons for doing it. But when you're letting somebody go just due to budget concerns and issues that your corporation puts upon you, you're not firing him for any other reason than meeting those monetary quotas. So it's a lot harder to watch that person go when there's no cause for it in terms of Johnny did nothing wrong. We're just conforming to the budgets that we have.
And you're saying things that I'm unaware of, and I'm uncomfortable talking about. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just telling you that. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know any of that. I know that. I mean, I know what you're saying is correct.
Well, you know, as a boss
but
too.
But I also know as a business that I mean, as a boss, as a former program director, that I know that there are times, hypothetically or generically, where people not in your city or in your state tell you that you have to save $100,000 this year, and they don't care how you do it. You know, sometimes that's easy. I mean, sometimes you're Elon Musk and you walk into Twitter, and you look at all of those people that have lives, that have families, that have retirement, that have health insurance. And, we all collectively kind of laughed at that because we didn't think of those people as individuals because of whatever. The nature of some cuts like that are easy. Sometimes they're not. That's all I'll say about that. Y'all are welcome. Look, we've got other matters to attend to. We've got Senator Bill Hagerty coming up at 12:35 this afternoon to talk about appointments by Donald Trump, continuing resolutions, drones, deportation efforts, and all the like. We have Scott DesJarlais. I am an open book and always will be. And so I welcome your communication about anything on your mind. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. We just, not to belabor it, but we love the man. We will always love the man. And he is an inspiration to me and to so many. And I'll miss him hearing his voice every morning. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 12:23 on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. Holiday traditions are special. They give us a chance to pause, reflect, and connect on what really matters to us. This season, Kraft Body Scan has an incredible idea for a new tradition that's all about health and peace of mind. Right now, they're offering a buy one, gift a one special for couples on their full body scans through December 31st. That means for just the cost of one full body scan, you get an additional full body scan completely free for a loved one. Think about it. For one quick, non-invasive scan price, you'll get 2 separate scans, and you'll have a clear picture of hidden health diseases like heart disease, cancer, long before symptoms appear. This kind of peace of mind is really priceless, and taking charge of your health is one of the best things you can do. Call today and schedule that appointment today. Now through December 31st, it's a buy one, gift one special. 615-436-1000, 615-436-1000, or craftbodyscan.com.
All right, drivers in Robertson County still got that overturned vehicle blocking the left lane, 24 eastbound, right there before Maxey Road. That is exit 19. And another murder charge for the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, it occurs to me, thank you, Ken Weaver, very much. It occurs to me in these couple of moments we have before that newscast. You know, I say this all the time. I'll say one more thing. JB was Mr. Cool. Always has been, always will be.
Coolest dude in this town.
Coolest man around. And some of the story, here's my goal. One of these days, you know, I'm planning on doing more of a long-form interview podcast in 2025. I've got it in my mind to do that. Mm-hmm. And one of these days, I'm going to get JB on that podcast.
Yes.
And I'm going to get him to tell some of the stories that he has told, I know you, Ken Weaver, and me off air. And it is, some of those stories are just, oh, they're so good. But yeah, it didn't bother me when I realized I would never be as cool as Johnny B. It didn't bother me when I realized I was not cool anymore. It did bother me a little bit when I realized I never was, but that's a different story. Weaver, it occurs to me that and I'm not asking for this, but in the minute or so that it occurs to me that I'd love to offer you the microphone.
I just want to say I love him.
That's well spoken. Well, we love you too.
That's just about it right now.
And we love you too, and you know he loves you too, man. He and Glenna are, they're doing all right, and we're doing all right, and we're going to keep moving on and moving on. It is, as the great Nick Saban said, it is what it is. And the news is coming up in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Just because I got a guest next, I'm going to take Mike real quick because I promised that I would take any and all comers. Mike, you're on the radio. What's on your mind?
Mr. Murphy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Be quick. I, too, about the same age as you. My father left our family in Nashville to become a disc jockey in Ardmore. Stayed out of our life until he passed away, but we would see him every once in a while. He was a 5-time Dove Award winner in gospel music radio. Wow. My brother followed his footsteps. He was a CMA winner from Chattanooga radio station, country music. So I know what you're talking about. When radio takes your soul, you just better hang on because you're going to go everywhere. As far as Johnny, that pisses me off. I know corporations do cut money and they want it done quickly, and there's no friendly way to do what they had to do. But Johnny, come on, man. I just don't get it. I just don't get that.
Well, I think you, Mike, you just, from your mouth to God's ears, and I think you just expressed what many, many people across our community are feeling. It's a hurtful time, but we will we'll carry on. And I'm the guy that seems to be lifting us up more than anybody. The guy that is lifting the spirits of Dan Mandis and Ken Weaver and Matt Murphy or whomever else, it happens to be Johnny B, which is the most fascinating part of all of this. He's reaching out to me. Hey, it'll be okay, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, man, come on now. So we'll just as a family, know that I love you all as a family. Know that I do. I've only been around for 3 years. I know that I'm kind of the new crazy guy at the dinner table, but I love every single one of you, and I've always and will always love John Bozeman. It is 31 after the hour on Super Talk.
Just one more reminder there, drivers in Robertson County. You got that overturned vehicle blocking the left lane, 24 eastbound, right before Maxey Road. Alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Huberman charged with a 7th murder in New York today. The Suffolk County District Attorney says they linked Huberman to Valerie Mack's death in part through DNA analysis. DA Raymond Tierney telling reporters they continue to investigate other murders near Gilgo Beach and Long Island in New York and in other areas.
I remind everyone that all of these cases and all of these murders are just allegations, and we look forward to proving them in court.
Yeah, officials say 24-year-old Valerie Mack had been working as an escort in Philadelphia. Her remains were found several years ago in 2 different parts of Long Island. Online postings attributed to the shooter in yesterday's deadly attack on a school in Madison, Wisconsin point to a troubled teenager with what authorities say are extremist views. 15-year-old Natalie Samantha Ruppnow, thought to have taken a handgun into Abundant Life Christian School, shot and killed a teacher and a classmate before fatally shooting herself. And a message from Vice President Kamala Harris today, speaking to young people in Prince George's County, Maryland, just outside D.C., Harris saying that she's received tens of thousands of letters from people across our nation since the election and addressing those supporters.
The movements for civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, the United States of America itself would never have come to be if people had given up their cause after a court case or a battle or an election did not go their way.
Nashville Democrat State Rep Afton Bain is sponsor of a bill that would counter Tennessee's abortion law. Fox 17 says House Bill 27, otherwise known as the Reproductive Freedom Act, says abortion is a fundamental right, including contraception and supplies, and states fertilized eggs, embryos, or a fetus does not have independent or derivative rights under state law. The bill comes week after the November election in which 10 states featured ballot measures challenging abortion bans or partial abortion bans, and 7 of them passed. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Gentlemen, if your energy level is here, way down here, and you want to make it here, way up here, then Tennessee Men's Clinic is your spot. Tennessee Men's Clinic helps energy, right? And that can happen in a lot of different ways. And I understand that ED gets a lot of attention. I understand that intimacy in the bedroom gets a lot of attention, but it's more than that, especially when you're talking about T levels. It's all about your energy level and interaction with your loved ones, particularly the intimacy that you enjoy with your wife. Men, if you found that it's getting more and more difficult, it's time to go to Tennessee Men's Clinic. They've been doing this since 2014, and they've been doing it well. Cool Springs is one location, Midtown the other. They've been there since 2014. They can help you. Evan Bass and his team are experts in their field. Their qualified urologist will give you an examination and figure out what's going on in your body and offer you a personalized approach to solving those issues. Call today at 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy in the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is our final day in the midday time slot. Believe it or not, the time has come. We've got a week off. I took the week before Christmas because I knew Brian was taking the week after Christmas. And as Brian is retiring on December 24th, that's his final day. We'll transition to the afternoon time slot from 3 until 7. I am pleased and honored to have Senator Bill Hagerty on with us in our final day during the Libertarian Lunch to talk about the goings-on of Washington, D.C. It's always a good conversation with Senator Bill Hagerty. Hello, Senator. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Matt. It's always good to be with you.
Well, obviously a lot to discuss, not the least of which the drone mystery. I mean, I heard Donald Trump down in Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Thankfully, we have a president-elect that is willing to speak directly to the American people and answer some of these very serious questions with more clarity than anyone from the Biden administration. As he says, look, the government knows what's going on. They're just not telling us what's going on. I know that you probably heard. Well, I don't know. I won't assume, but I will give some assumption that you've heard this clip. Senator, what is your take, and what can you tell us from Washington, D.C. that you know about these drones?
Well, I agree with President Trump. There's no doubt they know what's going on, but they're not in a position, and not willing to explain it to us. And if you think what's worse about all of this, that's that the Biden-Harris administration has basically systematically destroyed Americans' trust in the government. And certainly you think about their behavior when the Chinese spy balloon flew over America. You know, it flew over sensitive U.S. military sites. It was bouncing around over places it should never have been, and the Biden administration was trying to tell us that it was just checking the weather. Come on. You know, how many times did the Biden administration try to tell us that the border is secure? We know with our own eyes that this isn't true. If you think about it, time after time after time, the Biden and Harris administration has undercut America's confidence in the authorities here. And just one more example here with this drone situation. I don't know what the specific circumstances are, but it looks to me like a program out of control. And this administration is either too embarrassed or too ill-informed to be able to report to us in a more transparent fashion. That will come to an end January 20th. January 20th can't come soon enough.
Is there any concern on your part or on the part of your fellow senators or even over in the House of Representatives that it seems to me that folks like you, Senator Hagerty, would like to share more, not classified information, not confidential. I mean, I understand that there are certain things that go on that perhaps we don't need to know because that would by nature telegraph that to our enemies and to those that don't need to know. I get all of that. But is there no one in the halls of Congress that has been told or informed or briefed as to what the American government does truly know?
Well, I tell you, in the halls of Congress, people are furious, and that's a bipartisan comment, Matt. They're furious on both sides of the aisle. This is just the Biden administration telling us to talk to the hand. You put, the national security press secretary out on the street saying, "Well, we know it's not foreign, we know it's not adversarial, but we don't know what it is." Well, it can't be both.
Right? Exactly.
It can't be both, right? So it's just, don't believe your lying eyes yet again from the Biden administration. And I think this is one of the reasons the American public are so fed up with these guys and why we got such a resounding victory on November the 5th.
Well, and hopefully a lot of these issues will be resolved sooner rather than later. And hopefully they are resolved without any further fear or consternation on the part of the American people. One final question on this front, because it has, to me at least, seemed a more plausible theory than some of the others that I've heard. And have you heard the theory that perhaps we had some sort of mishap with nuclear material and that is a possibility as to why the government's being so secretive and attempting to get that back? Have you heard that at least as a rumor? And what, if anything, can you say about it if so?
I have not heard that as a rumor, Matt. This is the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
So I haven't heard anything, frankly, that is the least bit plausible. So again, we're just in a position of waiting and seeing. But I think the heat that's coming on this administration from the Congress, from both the House and the Senate, is continuing to mount. I don't see how they can hold back much longer without being more transparent with the American people. Again, they've just destroyed their credibility. This administration has destroyed the credibility with the American public.
Senator Bill Hagerty, our guest this afternoon, Libertarian Lunch, Matt Murphy Show. Senator, you and I have talked quite a bit. I listen and watch you on a variety of different programs, including Fox Business. I know what a physical conservative you are. Talk to me about the concept of yet another continuing resolution. and why we should swallow hard as an American people and accept this, particularly considering that we have an administration that's coming in that seems to be laser focused on cutting wasteful government spending.
Well, that's one aspect that I think our listeners should be pleased with, and that's the fact that this continues only until March, but it does continue until March. That gives the Trump administration the chance to come in and figure out and negotiate the balance of the year, as opposed to leaving it to Chuck Schumer and the Biden administration, which they would love to have wrapped it all up with some massive omnibus bill and pass that this week. We weren't going to let them do that. And so we wanted to give President Trump's team an opportunity to get their hands on the budget. And so that's why we're going to move this into mid-March. That'll give President Trump's team a chance to get on the ground, and we'll have a much better work product to finish the year out. That's my expectation.
I mean, I think I asked for the people of the state of Tennessee just to get Bill's opinion on. I mean, are you happy about this? I mean, I understand that it may be necessary. I think all of us kind of recognize perhaps the necessity to get to a second Trump administration, but it can't make you happy, Senator.
No, you're exactly right about that, Matt. Chuck Schumer has had the appropriation work product since this past summer.
Oh,
we pushed our bills through the Appropriations Committee. He will not bring them to the floor. He likes to precipitate this sort of crisis. You know, here we are, a government shutdown right before Christmas. This is what he lives for, I presume, to create these sorts of crises so he can, try to force members of both sides to vote for things they otherwise would never vote for. And so that's what we're looking at. This continuing resolution, in my view, is just another example of legislative malpractice. That's why I cannot wait until we change hands and change gavels in the United States Senate, and I can't wait till we get a responsible president back in the executive branch.
Senator, it's our first opportunity to speak since I've heard your name quite a bit floated as a possibility as a cabinet appointment. It doesn't look like one was quite the right fit for you. Can you give us an insight? I'm not asking for any private conversations, but did you have conversations about the possibility of serving the president in a different way?
Certainly. I've served the president in a different way. I served in his administration.
Sure.
I served in his administration when I was U.S. Ambassador to Japan. That's the third largest economy in the world, one of our most important diplomatic posts. He and I talk on a regular basis. We talked about this and a variety of things in terms of where I could be most helpful. My view is I want to represent the people of Tennessee. I want to do what's most constructive and helpful for America. And right now I'm working my heart out to make sure that he gets all of his nominees confirmed.
Who are you most excited about? Is there one or two? And do you have any consternation or concern about any of the nominees that you've seen so far?
Well, I've been spending a tremendous amount of time with Pete Hegseth, who is a fellow Tennessean now,
right.
One of my constituents. And Pete has actually been working out of my office the weeks that he's been up here meeting with all the senators. His momentum is very positive, and I've been happy to be a constructive player in that part. I think if you look at the current leadership at the Pentagon, Lloyd Austin has been just a complete disgrace, overseeing our withdrawal from Afghanistan, not holding a single person to account for that. They've got the Pentagon now more focused on pronouns than they do on lethality. Pete's ready to get back to business over there. And if you look at the recruitment and the retention crisis that's undergoing at the Pentagon right now, a leader like Pete, who's actually been a warrior, is inspiring. Pete shared with me some of the messages that he's had from some of his friends who were going to retire. They're saying, now that you're coming in, we're not. We're going to stay in. I think Pete's going to be an inspiration to help us recruit. We've got a huge deficit right now, a huge shortfall in the manpower there, and I'm delighted to see Pete come in and be an inspirational leader. It's interesting that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle forget the fact that Pete went to both Princeton and Harvard. He's a brilliant young man. I say young, he's younger than me, but he's going to be a great leader, an inspirational leader, and it's been my privilege to help introduce him to my colleagues here, and the momentum is definitely moving Pete's way. We've got a lot of other candidates here to talk about. We could spend the whole hour.
Well, I know, and I know your time is probably limited too, Senator. And but I do want to ask you about one other particular candidate because a lot of attention on RFK to shake up health and human services. I mean, there's a lot of good to say about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And one thing I will lead with and get your response on is some of our friends, quote unquote, on the political left are characterizing him as anti-vax. It's not true, but he does question why we have made this move in the manner that we have over the last 30 or 40 years to so many, particularly childhood vaccination. I think it's very important to continue to question the science. That's what science is all about. I'm as excited as can be about RFK in this role. How about you?
Well, Matt, you're saying it exactly right. Science is not fixed. It's not certain. The Earth was flat until it wasn't. You remember that?
That's right.
This is entirely appropriate that we be constantly questioning the science, and that you bring in a leader that's asking very basic questions. I mean, why is it that America, the most wealthy country in the world, is also one of the least healthy in the world? And on the campaign trail, I could see the energy. A lot of young moms out campaigning on making America healthy again, asking the questions that we all should be asking in terms of why is chronic disease, going up here in America? Why are we suffering the way we are? And are there things and issues that we could address that would turn that around? That's what he's asking about, and he's being characterized as some type, some sort of fringe player here. But I think he's asking some very important questions. I've known him for some time. He's coming to meet me again this week in an official capacity, but I look forward to our conversations, and I think he's asking some very pertinent questions for the American public. And I think President Trump has been, incredibly wise as he looks at the entirety of this government. He's going to disrupt it. He's going to shake it up, and he's going to find a new approach. And I think RFK just underscores that.
Well, we're obviously very excited about the confirmation process and the fact that the president seems determined to hit the ground running with the advice and consent of the United States Senate. One final question on a different front. Tom Homan has been very forward-facing since he was announced as the quote-unquote border czar under the new incoming Trump administration, and he has gotten a lot of pushback from mayors in Denver and Chicago and in other areas around the country, these places that consider themselves to be quote-unquote sanctuary communities or sanctuary areas. I obviously believe, as you do, Senator, that the federal government only serves as the Constitution directs it to serve. But this is clearly a federal issue and a federal directive to protect us from foreign invasion. What's your message to these mayors and communities that seem to resist following the rule of law under the incoming Trump administration?
Well, my message to them, Matt, is they need to buckle up because President Trump is dead serious about this. Tom Homan is too. We've never been under as great a public security threat as we are right now. All you have to do is listen to what the outgoing FBI director has been saying. This policy by the Democrats to collapse our southern border, and if you think about the sanctuary cities, these sanctuary cities are erected in blue states that otherwise have been losing population. You think about where the biggest sanctuary cities are located: Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. These are all states that are losing citizens. And they're backfilling those citizens with non-citizens who then can be counted for the purposes of allocating electoral votes in congressional districts. We've talked about this before, Matt. It's wrong. The American people know that it's wrong, but this is why they're doing it. It's a backfill strategy that they're using with these sanctuary cities, and it needs to come to an end.
Senator Bill Hagerty, always a pleasure, and we appreciate your time today, and we'll do it again very soon. Take care, and I don't think I'll talk to you before, so you and your family have a wonderful and Merry Christmas, Bill.
Thank you, Matt. Merry Christmas to you and all of our listeners today. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. There's Senator Bill Hagerty joining us for a good segment. It's 51 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. When your heater goes out, right, it's a bummer. I mean, not only do you not have heat, but now you've got to spend money on a thing that you don't want to spend money on. You want to spend money on something sexy this holiday season, some fun gift for you and the family or whatever. And now you got to spend money. What if I told you there was a way to avoid having to replace that unit? And that way is calling Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling. Now, Jeff might have to tell you the bad news. And if he does, all good. He's an elite pro partner with Rheem. He can lead you in a proper direction as to what unit best serves your needs for the least amount of money. But here's the great thing. One of his qualified technicians will come out and they could solve the problem, fix the unit, and get it through another season without having to come out of pocket for that major monetary expense. That's the way. Let's call Efficient Heating and Cooling today. Jeff Eddy's the man. I like to say if your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling, and he can assist you. You pay the same 24/7, no overtime rates, and he never charges a maintenance fee of over $125 on residential calls. 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net.
Drivers on I-24 in Robertson County, you still have an overturned vehicle blocking the left lane right there before Maxey Road going eastbound. And now here downtown Nashville, we've got debris in the right lane of the West Loop going westbound right there at 65. Mystery drones? You got to hear what Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty just told WTN's Matt Murphy. That's coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Y'all look out for the debris. There's debris in the roadways.
There's debris.
There's debris all over this community, and we need to get it. We need to pick it up, or we need to avoid it. Y'all be careful out there.
Go get it, Mama Boucher.
Francis.
Mama Boucher doesn't like that debris.
No. You got to clean up that debris. Don't like the foosball of the debris. Joe Biden has added a woman behind the largest municipal embezzlement scandal in U.S. history to his list of clemency. Isn't that nice? I mean, I don't want to hear from one single Democrat about the rule of law when Donald Trump begins pardoning the J6 prisoners, the political prisoners on J6. I don't want to hear one single one of you people saying one single word about it. Because y'all don't seem to give a rip about any of these people that he continues to pardon or offer clemency to. Former Dixon, Illinois comptroller Rita Crundwell, 71, who stole $54 million from a town over 22 years and pled guilty to the crime in 2012. Has had her sentence commuted as a part of a broader commutation, making her one of the 1,500 individuals, the most ever granted by a president on a single day in American history.
Over 22 years?
Look, at some point, steal for 10 years, shame on me.
What?
Steal for 22 years, shame on you. At some point, hey, fellas. We still got like $12 million missing this year. By the way, y'all see Crudwell's new car? Man, it's nice.
Does the Pentagon own that city?
I mean, what?
Watch it, Jack.
Does the Pentagon own that city?
I'll have the deets for you after the news. It is 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty telling WTN's Matt Murphy show reaction to the mystery drone sightings is another example of how the Biden-Harris administration has undercut Americans' confidence in the authorities here.
You think about their behavior when the Chinese spy balloon flew over America. It flew over sensitive U.S. military sites. It was bouncing around over places it should never have been, and the Biden administration was trying to tell us that it was just checking the weather. Come on. How many times did the Biden administration try to tell us that the border is secure? We know with our own eyes that this isn't true.
Yeah, so a day after President-elect Trump called for the Biden administration to tell us more, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said the federal government continues to see nothing indicating a public safety risk from the unexplained drone activity in the Northeast. Then he suggested one reason for increased sightings is it's getting darker earlier. Alleged serial killer Rex Heuermann being charged with a 7th murder today in Suffolk County, New York, on Long Island.
Heuermann was named as the sex worker's suspected killer in June. Now,
We have mitochondrial DNA from a hair that was found on the body of Valerie Mack.
Suffolk County, New York DA Raymond Tierney.
I remind everyone that all of these cases and all of these murders are just allegations, and we look forward to proving them in court.
Prosecutors are investigating Heuermann and the deaths of as many as 5 other people, including a male whose remains were found at or near Gilgo Beach.
Chuck Severson reporting. Right now in Madison, Wisconsin, the big questions are how and where did a 15-year-old student get the gun, and why did she kill a fellow student and a teacher before herself, and what motivated her? Here's Jim Ryan.
When police stormed the building, a student and a teacher were dead, and Natalie Samantha Rucknow lay dying of a self-inflicted wound. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes has had detectives talk with the parents of the 15-year-old.
They knew her, they lived with her, and so we wanted to get an account of what kind of child she was.
Social media posts postings attributed to Samantha Rupnow hint at alienation, resentment, and hatred.
A campus official says Abundant Life Christian School does not have metal detectors but uses other security measures, including cameras, and they say guns are not allowed on campus and that the school regularly practices safety routines. Your air fryer could be spying on you. And your other internet-connected appliances, too.
Of the hundreds of app-connected appliances on the market, the UK consumer advocacy group Which looked at the top-rated air fryers on Amazon. 3 wanted permission to record audio on the user's phone for no specified reason. The Xiaomi app linked to trackers from Facebook and Chinese tech giant Tencent. The Igostar air fryer wanted to know gender and date of birth, but it was optional. Both fryers sent people's personal data to servers in China. Regulators in America and Britain are seeking power to crack down.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's going on? What you doing? It's about 6 minutes after 1 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. We host the Matt Murphy Radio Show on a daily basis. Easy for me to say, and isn't that convenient? It's Tuesday, December 17. I think I went through the pleasantries in the first hour. The first hour monologue was a little bit of a blur. I appreciate you being with us. I appreciate Senator Bill Hagerty stopping by for the Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. Our last Libertarian Lunchtime Hour. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I'm a little bit at a loss for what to do with my hands. Considering that, I came into Nashville, Tennessee, a little over 3 years ago, 3 years and 4 days ago, as your new midday host, and now it has been announced that because of the retirement of our man Wilson after 50 years of television and radio broadcasting, he's retiring on December 24th. the powers that be sat down and they offered me the opportunity to sit in the chair that Brian Wilson has occupied for these 3 years, and before him, Phil Valentine for so many years prior. And it is the absolute honor of my life to have said yes and to accept that possibility in that role. And I can only hope to, I can't possibly hope to fill the shoes of Brian Wilson, can't fill the shoes of Phil Valentine if I wanted to, but I can only hope to live up to your expectations and to hold on to you and to treat you like the family that Phil Valentine treated you like, to treat you like the family that Brian Wilson treated you like as well. So all of that to say, this is my last day. It's my last day with Bell. It's the last day with Bell. Bell is staying in this slot. Bell has other duty. Believe it or not, Bell will not tell you this, but he has other duties outside of his role as the executive producer of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Goodness.
I know. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, there was some guacamole and chips in the break room earlier.
Oranges.
Yeah, and oranges.
There were oranges over there. It's with sadness that we finish up our midday roll because I'm off starting tomorrow. And the man replacing me in the midday slot from noon until 3, Chad Benson, will be in from now until, I guess, the end of the year. I will be off until the day after. You're so mean. I just let that crowd noise die down there as we welcome in Chad Benson. Is that going to happen, Chad? Just the mention of his name?
They're fine. Go ahead.
You good? Okay.
Finish your story.
And he'll be here from noon until 3 starting on tomorrow. And I promise you, once you get to know Chad, he's a great guy, and he's going to be a great fit for Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And I'm proud to get you home in the right fashion in the afternoon from 3 until 7. That unofficially starts on the 26th. It officially starts on January 2nd. I have one request. Is Ken still back there in the newsroom?
I'm right here, Brother Murphy.
Ken's back there in the newsroom.
Yes, sir.
Bell, there's been one request that has been made of me, considering the sad news today that today was Johnny B's last day. There was one request made of me. You know who that request came from?
I'm going to guess that it was either Jason or Kathy.
Okay. That is, you're incorrect on both both fronts. The request was made by Johnny B.
Which was?
That he wanted you to say goodbye to him on camera. You know.
You're so lying.
Hey,
you're so lying.
Brother,
gotta get in with
Bell,
those
listen.
Scotians.
Bell?
What?
Stupid Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny.
There you go.
Let's do it for Johnny, man.
I'll do almost anything for Johnny, but that might make you happy, so I can't do that.
It will not please me at all. Because people will finally, once and for all, see that you are actually prettier than me, and I don't care for it.
Well, I have an idea. Why don't you just get your own damn day part then?
Well, I had to get away from you, pretty boy. Bell? Bell?
Stupid Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny.
Stupid.
Freaking love that movie.
Me too, man. Your opinion means very little to me. Let's do it for Johnny, man. You know there ain't no Rumble without me.
Freaking Matt Dillon, man.
Matt Dillon. Stay gold, pony boy. Wait, you don't want to show anybody your hair dye? Is that what it is, Bell?
My hair doesn't have any dye in it anymore.
Oh, I thought you'd gone blonde on us.
Oh, stop it.
Like Pony Boy.
Pony Boy Curtis.
Remember old Pony Boy Curtis? He went. Wasn't Pony Boy went blonde, right? I think that's right.
Well, I'm not going blonde, but I am going gray. So,
you know what you need to be doing.
Stupid Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny.
Come on, man. All right. Look, I gave it a go. I tried. I did my best. I can only do what I can only do.
I can only do what I can do.
That's right. I mean, I can't. A man's got to know his limitations, as the great Clint Eastwood said. And I love that movie too, Weaver. That's underrated.
Yes, sir.
That is. I love that. Listen, I was a young fellow when I saw this movie, The Outsiders.
Yes, sir.
1983. I probably saw it in 85 or 86 when it came out on Cinemax.
Yeah.
But that redheaded girl at the drive-in. My God, what was her name? Sherry.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness.
You know,
gracious.
that drive-in is where my wife and I had our very first date.
What?
Yes, sir. The Admiral Twin.
The actual drive-in?
The actual drive-in.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Where was the drive-in?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That is incredible.
The Admiral Twin.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. She couldn't keep her hands off of me either.
Do you remember what movie you saw?
Let's see.
I think it's better if you don't. But do you remember what movie you saw?
Yeah. It was a double feature. One of them was The Addams Family, the one they put out in the 90s. And then the other one, I can't remember what that other one was.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, had a real good time.
I'm sure you did at the drive-in.
Yeah.
Did they have were you tuned into the radio at that time, or do you have that little speaker box on
Still had the little speaker box.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty,
it was a warm summer night.
I bet well.
Those Tulsa, Oklahoma nights in the summer were really warm, too. And I'm talking about literally.
Oh! I'm just going to keep quiet, not ask any further questions for fear that your wife is currently listening to this radio show. But I am certain that y'all had a fun time at the Admiral?
The Admiral Twin.
Admiral Twin.
Hey, can I say something real quick? We were both at Brian's party on Saturday, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, and he has a very, very nice house with a pool in the back.
He does.
But that's not 50 years of broadcasting good. There's some drug running going on in there somewhere, I'm sure. Maybe a little bit of weapons running, too. I mean, there's something going on besides broadcasting.
Did you ever get to see his studio?
I didn't. I actually said something to him about it.
Well, he was so busy. There were so many people.
Well, yeah, he's trying to play host and everything, and he was going to show me, but I ended up having to leave before I got a chance to see it.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, we try to remind people that go to these events. I know Ken Weaver's done so. I've done so. Dan Mandis has done so. That this isn't everybody in radio. That we don't enjoy the amenities that Mr. Wilson currently enjoys. It's got to be. I figure it's some Cabana wife cash going on. I mean, that's what I figure.
Well, it's definitely some Cabana wife touch.
Oh, my goodness.
That's going on.
Yeah,
oh, Lord. Those Christmas trees and that charcuterie. My God. She doesn't do a charcuterie board, y'all. She does a charcuterie dining room table.
Yeah.
That is just full of delicious meats and cheeses and all array of, and all, oh, my goodness.
Candied bacon.
She could have her own worldwide business.
Yes.
She just knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she absolutely does. Absolutely does. So, yeah, I would agree with you, Bell. Here's all I know is that if you want to know where Brian Wilson lives, all you have to do is in your GPS, you type in biggest house in Watertown. It takes you right there.
Yep.
Takes you right there.
I've got it in my phone as Wilson Manor.
Well, that's about right. I mean, he had a fella parking cars.
Well, he got in trouble one year, remember?
That's right. Well, he was parking on the wrong side of the street.
Local police had to come break up the crowd.
It's like, hey, we're going to need y'all to disperse.
Yeah. I remember Jennifer and I just got there, and Brian's coming out of the house. I said, hey, Brother Brian. He goes, yeah, Ken. Hey, officer, what's the problem?
Yeah, what's the big deal?
Too much noise coming out of this, you children with your hijinks.
Well, I think we all parked appropriately the other night, and it was a good time had by all. All right, so JB, I tried. I don't know if he put himself on camera or not. I don't get privy to those types of things, but maybe before the end of the show we can convince him.
Come on, Brother Bilal.
Come on, Bilal.
Just do it, dude. Come on.
Stupid Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny.
We're going to do it for Johnny. All right, President Joe Biden, as mentioned just before the top of the hour, has added a woman in a former Dixon, Illinois comptroller, Rita Crudwell, or Crundwell, pardon me. I'm going to call her Crudwell, who stole nearly $54 million from the town over 22 years and pled guilty to the crime in 2012. She had her sentence commuted as a part of a broader commutation, making her one of the 1,500, the most ever granted by a president on a single day. Local officials and some state lawmakers are not too happy to see her getting off scot-free. Rita's crime shocks the conscience. At her sentencing on February 14, 2013, the judge said that a significant prison sentence was essential to reestablish public trust and confidence. So what we've seen here over the last week is just unbelievable and really a complete betrayal by the federal criminal justice system. That, according to Dixon City Manager Danny Langloss, who told the same to Fox and Friends this morning. Langloss, who was the police chief at the time of Crundwell's arrest, went on to say the rural Illinois community is shocked, outraged, in disbelief over the news, calling her commutation a complete disservice to all of the victims of her crime and the sanctity and the trust of the criminal justice system. So this is on the heels. I mean, we're rolling through these 1,500 commutations that they dumped on us late last week, trying to figure out the worst of the worst, and there are plenty of bad ones in this mix. Plenty of awful commutations in this mix. I mean, just complete ne'er-do-wells. People that bilked millions of dollars like this lady out of the public trust, people who committed violent crimes and the like. I mean, all of these lumped in to one grand clemency event. That on top of the obvious nonsense regarding the preemptive nature of the pardon, or the blanket nature, I should say, of the pardon that Joe Biden offered to his son, Hunter Biden, who was guilty. Now, think about this for a moment. This dude, and I don't pretend that Joe Biden did it. As I said yesterday on the afternoon show, Joe Biden wouldn't be able. I would offer a $1,000 challenge if I hand Joe Biden a phone and say, download, go into your Twitter and post something on Twitter. But you have to know your Twitter handle, and you have to know your password. Have at it, buddy. I mean, Joe Biden's never touched Twitter in his life. He has people that do that for him. However, there he was yesterday in his name demanding that Congress do something about Madison, Wisconsin, which, by the way, we're getting an update. Hey, can you I just noticed this. This update just started. It's 1:18 Central Time there in Madison, Wisconsin. Chief Sean Barnes is updating it as we speak. I think it might merit. I tell you what we'll do. I'm going to monitor this. I'm going to take a quick time out, and then if it's still going on and they're answering questions, we'll come back to it. There's an update going on in Madison, Wisconsin regarding the deadly school shooting from yesterday. We'll monitor that and be back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Madison, Wisconsin Police Chief Sean Barnes giving a press conference right now, and he addresses what he calls a document that is swirling online that may give insight to the Abundant Life Christian school shooter's motive. We'll let you hear what he says coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As a matter of fact, a little bit before that, Ken, as Chief Sean Barnes continues to offer a statement saying that the police have not yet verified the authenticity of a document claiming to be a manifesto that is circulating online. They know the name of the shooter, as you well know. We know the identity of the individual, a 15-year-old female who fired inside of study hall inside of the Abundant Life Christian School. Sean Barnes is speaking right now, just said that it was not, in fact, a second grader that called 911. It was a second-grade teacher that called 911, and there was some confusion there. He is speaking in Madison, Wisconsin right now. Let's go to the press conference.
Often known as swatting. We're working closely with the Madison Metropolitan School District to determine where these originated and to investigate this call. We do not believe that there are any current threats to any Madison area schools, and will continue to investigate these calls and any threats of violence as they come in. Let me be clear on this point. Making false threats is a crime, and we are working with the district attorneys to prosecute these crimes as information is gathered. And if we have to do that, we certainly will. I encourage all parents, all family members to talk to your loved ones about this. We will determine where they originated. We'll use federal partners if we have to and levy those charges as well. As we continue to investigate what happened yesterday, we're keeping the victims and their families in the front of our minds. We want to thank the countless people and organizations who've reached out to support them, as well as the Dane County Victim Witness Unit and the Dane County Emergency Management, who provided direct support to the families. To the Abundant Life Christian Academy, this is a hurting and haunting situation, and the many survivors will need our continued support, and we pledge to give them that in the days, months, and even years ahead. As a community, we must not allow violence or any act of violence to define us. We refuse to allow hate or destruction to win in this city, but rather we will honor our survivors, our victims, through love, support, and the Madison way. Please continue to take care of yourself and take care of each other. At this time, we have several officers who are working today, who was working yesterday. They were given the opportunity to stay home on what we commonly refer to as an administrative day. They were offered peer support, emergency assistance program through our city. But those officers chose to come to work today and serve their community. So at the end of my remarks, I'm going to find each and every one of them and personally shake their hand and thank them on behalf of a grateful city, and a grateful administration, and a grateful department and profession for their act of selfless public service. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief.
Listening to a press conference ongoing in Madison, Wisconsin right now. That's Police Chief Sean Barnes, who
I want to start
kind of
where
left the stage after he finished his
which
comment.
Is just asking everyone in this room and within the sound of my voice to take a minute. It's been an incredibly difficult 24-plus hours at this point in time. And we're all human, including each and every one of you in the media who is covering this really tragic event. Please remember that you're human and take care of yourselves. We all need to do that. Drink water. Take a moment. Access whatever mental health resources you need. Because that's our job now, is to take care of ourselves so we can take care of each other and our community. Yesterday, the Madison community experienced a terrible and traumatic event. If there's any positive in it, it's that the educators at Abundant Life, our local law enforcement and first responders, and our community partners were prepared to respond. They acted without hesitation to protect our children, and I'm grateful and humbled by their actions. It's a day that I hoped never would come to our city, but like so many other communities, here we are. We will never be the same, but we will get through this together.
All right, obviously, it's a very emotional time in Madison, Wisconsin, and the mayor right there is expressing some of those emotions. That is Satya Rhodes Conway, the mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, giving an emotional update on the goings-on in the aftermath of the school shooting. We now have the identity of the 15-year-old girl. I will not offer the name of the 15-year-old that committed this violent and atrocious act. I just don't do that. It is not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes when the identity is necessary for the furtherance of the story, I will do that, but I typically try not to say the name of the individual involved. Police have spoken with the father and other family members who were obviously cooperating. They continue those conversations. They searched the home of the individual responsible for the shooting. The individual shot and killed a teacher, shot and killed a teenage student, and wounded 6 others before turning the gun on herself and killing herself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She died on the way to the hospital, according to the Madison police. The police have declined to offer any additional details about the shooter. They are attempting to gather that information as best they can and complete the circle of the investigation prior to releasing any additional information. We know this all too well. I mean, if there is something of a quote-unquote manifesto online or a manifesto that exists, I hate calling it that. It gives it gravity or weight. Obviously, this was someone who had some sort of issues. We try to make sense out of the senseless. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let Ken get in here with some news. I got ahead of myself, and I looked at the clock on the wall. Let Ken get some news, and then we'll get back to it in conversation with you. 615-737-9986. It's 31 after on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers in Robertson County. You still have that overturned vehicle blocking the left lane 24 eastbound before Maxey Road. Looks like that could be the case for at least another hour and a half. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Online postings attributed to the shooter in yesterday's deadly attack on a school in Madison, Wisconsin, point to what some media is reporting as a troubled teenager with extremist views. However, Chief Sean Barnes just told a press conference.
We know a document has been widely shared on social media. At this time, we cannot verify its authenticity.
He's asking media not to share it, too. 15-year-old Natalie Samantha Rupnow is thought to have taken a handgun into Abundant Life Christian School, shot and killed the teacher and a classmate before fatally shooting herself. Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty telling WTN's Matt Murphy show this afternoon the response Americans are getting from the White House about the mystery drones is just like how the Biden-Harris administration handled the Chinese spy balloon and border security.
The Biden and Harris administration has undercut America's confidence in the authorities here. And just one more example here with this drone situation. I don't know what the specific circumstances are, but it looks to me like a program out of control. And this administration is either too embarrassed or too ill-informed to be able to report to us.
Now, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said today the federal government continues to see nothing indicating a public safety risk from this unexplained drone activity in the Northeast. Then he suggested one reason for increased sightings is it's getting darker earlier. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to spend a moment this holiday season talking about the wonderful individuals of Men of Valor. What a great organization, what a great group of people, and what wonderful Christian work they truly do. Because they do disciple men and turn their lives around, making them more productive members of society. And not only do they assist them in this life, it's a pretty huge assist in the next, because these are men that are lost, and they find their way into the criminal justice system, into the prison system. And 90% of the men that find their way into prison will get out at some point. What type of men do you want getting out? Productive members of society that will do better for society, or those that will commit crimes again? Obviously, you want the former and not the latter. Will you join us in helping set these captives free? Here's the way. A donation today would make a world of difference, go so far into helping these people. Or you can volunteer as a job partner, a Bible study teacher, or a mentor. They need volunteers not only in the prison system, but in their aftercare reentry service as well. MOVministry.com. That's MOVministry.com. It's the wonderful organization that is Men of Valor. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More from Madison, Wisconsin. I was just reading some of the content of the so-called manifesto of the 15-year-old that is responsible for the shooting death of 2 and the wounding of 4 others. She also took her own life. It is being reported that this 15-year-old was not transgender, went by the name Samantha. That was not her birth name. But there are some online that have claimed to have met up with and communicated with her boyfriend, who provided a Discord app link to her 6-page long manifesto. I'm not prepared to read any of that online. I would like some corroboration of it. Besides, I don't think it's going to help anybody. This was a tormented young person who had evil inside of her. Was there a possibility of reclamation? There's always a possibility of reclamation, but sadly that did not happen in this case. She was angry. In the reading that I was doing during the bottom of the hour news break, it was pretty obvious that she was angry at just about everybody, including her parents, the world, men, just everybody. And that she was enamored with mass killings, and particularly with school shootings. She was fascinated or obsessed with them. And that's what we are learning about this 15-year-old. All right, more on that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. Right now, we turn our attention to Congress and to Washington, D.C. Congressman Scott DesJarlais is always gracious with his time. He is back in Washington, D.C., it's my understanding, preparing for what should be a fairly robust several days, as well as a fairly robust 119th session of Congress. Congressman, good afternoon. Thank you for being on with us.
Good afternoon, Matt. Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure. Let's start not with the CR, although I want to get into that, but I want to start with drones. We had Senator Bill Hagerty on a minute ago, and Senator Hagerty expressed kind of confusion and dismay that more was not being related to the American people regarding this whatever's going on. Donald Trump said it pretty succinctly yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, Scott. He said, look, the government knows what's happening. They're just not telling us. The Biden administration says they don't know what's happening. What, if anything, can you tell us about this? And what's the mood in Congress? Because I have to feel like congressmen and women are getting rather frustrated at the inability for the White House to give us any information on this front.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think they know what these are, whether they're commercial drones, whether they're military, whether they're covert, whether they're foreign actors. I do think they know. We have not been briefed in our Armed Services Committee as we speak. The House Intelligence Committee is getting a briefing right now. Sometimes ours follows theirs. And so hopefully we'll find out. But, you know, what a lot of us do fear is we see what are being done with drones around the world in Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, I feel like the next terrorist attack on this country could very likely be drone-oriented. So it's understanding that people are upset about this and maybe even more upset about the lack of transparency because, I've had people say these are just aircraft, like these are planes. Well, they're not. They're drones. And, you're hearing all kinds of stories. We have the ability to shut down their GPS, bring one down. They're not doing it. And so I think by the end of the day, we're going to know a lot more because a lot of times when you have classified briefings up here, you'll hear just as much about it on the evening news tonight. So hopefully tonight we'll have a clearer picture, but it's been a problem with this administration since their inception. The transparency is not there. People aren't stupid, and they can see it with their own eyes, and why we're not getting answers, I have no idea.
Do you have, would you venture a guess? Do you have a guess? Do you have any gut feeling, Scott?
Well, my gut feeling has got to be somehow related to intelligence, something, why would they keep it from us if it was just commercial drones? My understanding is you're supposed to have your drone within line of sight. That doesn't seem to be the case. There's issues with airspace. There should be arrests being made. These things should be brought down. So my gut feeling is it has something to do with covert activity. I don't necessarily think it's foreign actors, although as many illegals that have crossed the border, you can't rule that out, but I think that they would be bringing them down if it's the case. So I think we're going to find out that the government knew more than they were telling us.
Congressman Scott DesJarlais is with us this afternoon talking about activities happening in Washington, D.C., not the least of which is this concept of yet another continuing resolution. I know you, Scott. I don't think that you have there's any joy in feeling like you have to do this, kick the can down the road until March. Help Tennessee understand, your district and beyond understand why, this is the best thing that we can expect, at least until Donald Trump is in the White House. I expect that this continuing resolution is going to pass, and tell us the details. It will last until March. Is that correct?
Yeah, March 14th is what they've agreed on. Everybody's trying to jump in and get a bite of the pie. The ag community has some late demands. There's disaster money that some people agree on, for the flood victims in East Tennessee and North Carolina. But unfortunately, as usual, they tag a bunch of pet projects in there that have nothing to do with disaster relief. So it's Christmas season. Everybody's trying to get their present put under the tree. And it's very unlikely a CR that I'd be able to vote for just because of all those reasons. But, when we did this CR a few months back, I think the conservatives wanted to push it till March so we would have more control. And, of course, everything had to go our way, which it did. Now I think Speaker Johnson and everyone else wishes we'd done it that way. But, no, it's not good. It means that Congress, once again, didn't do its job. It means that they didn't get the appropriations bills done. We didn't pass a budget. So hopefully I'm optimistic about what lies ahead, and let me diverge just a little bit how pleased I am that the American people saw through the facade that the media tried to create, everything from hiding Biden's health to how great Kamala Harris was to how good the economy was despite you being broke, all the different lies that we were being told. And on election night, they came out and rebuked that. So that gives me optimism going into this next year with an administration that's made a lot of commitments to get a lot of things done. And we've got Vivek and Elon. We've talked to them about, cutting spendings. Can they cut $2 trillion? I doubt it. But anything we can do that points us in the right direction is going to be a plus. And so the biggest problem we're going to have is the House of Representatives. That slim margin is even slimmer. We have the Senate now. We have the White House. So we're really going to have to work together in the House to make positive things happen. And it's going to be a tough lift. But, the CR is crap. It's not the way we're supposed to do business here. I'm not happy about it. So I can't really tell Tennessee why they should be happy about it, other than I just hope that with the opportunity we've been given by the voters that we see a better outcome next year when we're doing this process.
Well, and you and I talked for a long time. Scott DesJarlais is with us, by the way, representing the 4th District of the state of Tennessee, and always gracious with his time on the Matt Murphy Show. And so I don't want you to, necessarily feel like I'm yelling at you, but we hear this so much, and each time we hear it from people that don't want to do it, they tell us, well, just give us a second and wait till next time. You can understand why there are people listening to us right now that are kind of jaded to this overspending, considering how many times we've heard it. Oh, we'll get them next time. Help me feel confident that this time around it's different, Scott.
Well, Trump is different. You can tell by his demeanor he's different. He's got a different strategy. And my question will be, we'll talk about this again later, because Congress certainly has underdelivered for a long time. And what we got to see is whether the people are willing to go along with the tough cuts and the tough choices it's going to make to turn this ship around, because we're going to have to cut into a lot of people's spending, and everyone's fine with cutting spending until it touches their house. So if it involves Meals on Wheels, if it involves SETRA, if it involves Head Start, if it involves programs for the arts and different things that some people are going to have a real problem. I think it's got to be across the board cuts. We've got to get into the DOD. We just passed a huge bill that you could probably replay our interview last year. And there's a lot of spending in there that needs to be cut, a lot of waste, a lot of contractors that need to be held accountable. And I'm saying all the things that but can Donald Trump, can Vivek, can Elon, can we get the American people to buy in? It's a matter of educating them. We got to tell them we're doing this because our country's going to be insolvent, and it's all going to hurt. We're going to have to tighten our belts, and you got to have the people buy in too. Once they see the plan, and maybe it's going to hurt them a little bit too, but we got to tell them why they're doing it and what the outcome's likely to be if they're willing to do it. So I think communication with the public, transparency that we've been lacking, is going to be the key to moving this forward in a successful manner.
Congressman, obviously the other body in the Congress, the Senate, the United States Senate, is charged with the duty of advising and consenting on presidential appointments, but surely you've been watching this, as the rest of us have. Any highlights for you? Any appointment possibilities that cause you any sort of concern, or are you happy with, for the most part, the selections of Donald Trump for his new cabinet?
A lot of them, frankly, I don't even know very well. Pete Hegseth, I don't know. I maybe saw him on news. I don't know. It would be different than what we're used to. Anything would be better than what we have right now.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'm willing to shake it up. I know Gabby Giffords. I consider her a friend, and so I know Kristi Noem very well. Sat with her for a long time on the floor. So there's a lot of picks that I think are interesting. They're certainly different, but you look at you look at Biden's cabinet and the picks that he had. This isn't all about diversity. This is hopefully about people that are going to get in there and follow the Trump agenda. So we'll see how the process plays out. But if people are talking about abolishing the Department of Education, that probably would make some teachers nervous, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. If we're going to really cut spending, we're going to have to do some pretty dramatic things.
I've been pretty excited about the forward thinking and really his mannerisms and his way of talking since Donald Trump has announced that his new, quote, border czar, which is not an official position, but one that has been, much talked about. Tom Homan has been very, very forceful in his conversations about how we're going to follow the law for the American people. and not acquiesce to these illegal alien activities that have been going on for the last 4 years. I know you've been monitoring it as well. How excited are you? I know that you've been following this story for a long time. You've been talking about it for a long time. This seems the right man for the job. Would you not agree?
I do. Let me first. I meant Tulsi Gabbard. I think I said Gabby.
Yeah, Gibbard, I think you did. I think you did. But yeah, certainly we knew who you were talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So at any rate, yes. I mean, I love what I'm hearing from this guy, and I think that when you look at what people went to the polls for, the economy, knowing that they're spending an extra $1,500 a month on groceries and other things, that was a top voting issue. But certainly the border is another one. And people say, well, you can't mass deport, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, these people know they were breaking the law. They were coming here because basically an administrator was letting them come here for, in my opinion, nefarious reasons. And just the sheer numbers, 2 million a year under Biden, it's unheard of when we far over the numbers that we talked about. So I like the fact that this guy is talking tough, and I think everybody around the country that has illegals living in hotel rooms and getting all the free education, free health care, free housing, all the things that we all can't afford right now. I think the tough talk is going to be better received than, maybe some of the media outlets and some of the liberals are saying, because how do you recover from letting 10, 15, 20 million people in your country, a lot of them here who are criminals, as Trump says, and he's not wrong. The gotaways are mostly all criminals. Otherwise, they turn themselves in to get the benefits. So I think that I love the guy's tone. And I think people might be a little more receptive to it. Everybody knows somebody that's here and been here a while, and they're nice people, and they aren't bad people, but they didn't follow the rules and they broke the laws. And if you and I break the laws, unless you're Hunter Biden, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. And so, I think I'm really excited about the guy, and I think that all that tough talk, I hope it's real, because every illegal that comes here, Center for Immigration Studies says up to 88,000 per immigrant per year to the taxpayer. That's more than most homes make, and I don't know how we recover financially if we don't mass deport folks back to where they came from. Trump has to be tough on the borders on the countries that are just letting people pass through, and I think he's ready and willing to do that on day one. And I think the first 100 days of this administration are going to be amazing, but I think just the first week or two are going to be really
it's going to be exciting. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Congressman, I assume, based on your language, real quick, and the minute or so that we have, I assume that you're going to be a begrudging yes vote on the CR?
I'd probably not. I've not voted for too many CRs in my years up here.
That's good news.
Pretty unlikely that I would support it.
Okay. Well, that's good news. That's what I like to hear. Scott, I appreciate sincerely your availability. I mean, anytime we call, you make time for us on Super Talk and on the Matt Murphy Show. I appreciate that, and I don't believe that we'll have an opportunity beforehand, so I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas.
Well, same to you, and I'm so grateful we have Super Talk in Tennessee because, it's the go-to outlet for conservative talk, and we appreciate you as well.
We appreciate you, Scott. There's Scott DesJarlais making himself available for you, not for me, for you. I'm going to speak more on that in just a moment because several of you are asking me questions about Andy Ogles and Mark Green, and I just feel like I ought to direct my attention to you in that regard. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk.
Well, they just held another press conference on the Madison, Wisconsin school shooting, and we'll relay some of that to you, let you hear some of it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Man, did you see this Trump troll on Canada yesterday?
No.
It was so delicious. So apparently the former finance minister, I guess it was, of Canada was fired. And, you know, of course, and anytime you get to that level of muckety-muck echelon in any system, they give you the opportunity to resign, which obviously she took the opportunity to resign. Donald Trump, here it is. So Donald Trump's no fan of necessarily Justin Trudeau. And you might recall Donald Trump, when Justin Trudeau came to kiss the ring in Mar-a-Lago, Trump made a joke about, well, why don't I just make Canada the 51st state and be done with it?
Yeah.
And it was like, apparently people at the table said it was an obvious joke, and Justin Trudeau laughed. And everybody in Canada didn't think it was so funny, and this finance minister was one of them. She shut off at the mouth about it. Others shut off at the mouth about it. This is the woman that laughed at these truckers who were prevented from doing their job because of COVID and shut them down and did not give them the ability to speak back to their country. Just not a fan of freedom or free speech. Anyway, Donald Trump said on his Truth Social yesterday, the great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau.
Wow, good for him.
Her behavior was totally toxic and not at all conducive to making deals which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed. The Governor Justin Trudeau.
And see, here's the deal. You can hear him say, she'll not be missed.
She will not be missed. So long, sayonara, time for the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And drivers, we've got some issues out there. Shall I run down the list? I-24 eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard in Laverne, you got a crash. Then you got 65 southbound right after 440. That's exit 80, the right lane blocked there in Berry Hill. Cedar Hill, Tennessee, still dealing with that overturned vehicle. The right shoulder is blocked. This is going to be 24 eastbound before Maxey Road there in Robertson County. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Police in Madison, Wisconsin, investigating the deadly shooting inside a private Christian school yesterday by a 15-year-old. Officials focusing on the suspect's digital footprint. Police Chief Sean Barnes addressed some of that in his latest press conference.
We have detectives working today to determine where this document originated and who actually shared it online.
Yeah, investigators looking into social media accounts purported to be related to the shooters, showing signs of a gravitation towards potential neo-Nazi violence and engagements in forums about mass shooters. Posts just minutes before the shooting show a photo of a hand making an OK sign in a bathroom stall, sometimes used as a white power sign. Alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann charged with another murder in New York today.
The defendant is now charged with the murder of 7 young women.
Suffolk County District Attorney says they linked Heuermann to 24-year-old Valerie Mack's death in part through DNA analysis. Mack had been working as an escort in Philadelphia. Her remains were found several years ago in 2 different parts of Long Island. And right now in Tennessee, changes could be coming for students in Rutherford County. Channel 4's Jordan James says the school board set to vote tonight on zoning plans district leaders feel are necessary.
Discussions have been ongoing for over a year. Last fall, new zones were approved for high schools. Since then, there have been some changes to the proposal. The latest version of that plan would add a dual zone running between Siegel and Blackman high schools. Rising juniors and seniors would be able to remain at their current schools as long as they have transportation. Officials have said this new zone is needed to keep up with population growth. Now, this board meeting is set to take place at 5:30, and the community is encouraged to come out. If approved, this plan could take effect as soon as next school year.
Nashville Democrat State Rep Afton Bain, sponsor of a bill that would counter the state's abortion ban law, Fox 17 says House Bill 27, otherwise known as the Reproductive Freedom Act, says abortion is a fundamental right, including contraception and supplies, and states fertilized eggs, embryos, or a fetus, quote, does not have independent or derivative rights under state law. This bill comes weeks after the November election in which 10 states featured ballot measures challenging abortion bans or partial abortion bans, and 7 of those passed. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Sleep apnea and TMJ Solutions continues to grow with Dr. Brian McLaughlin joining Dr. Stephen Paas this year. And since, for the last 6-8 months now, they've been working together in conjunction with one another in Brentwood, in Murfreesboro, offering excellent customer service when it comes to your sleep apnea needs. Do you have sleep apnea? Do you know? I did not know, but I knew I wasn't sleeping well at night. Well, Dr. Paas said, Murph, you need to get a sleep apnea test. I did have a sleep test, and I do have sleep apnea, despite the fact that I don't snore that much. You know, winter's almost here. Fall is already here. If you're in network with BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, if you have TRICARE with the military, then you're in network with Dr. Stephen Paas. And right now, if you've met your deductible, it's a great opportunity for you to go ahead and schedule that appointment. Get it in there quick with Dr. Stephen Paas, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Sleep better. Eliminate sleep apnea. Don't have to wear a hose. Don't have to wear a mask. It's a FDA-approved device that can help you sleep tonight. drpaas.com. That's drpaas.com. All right, coming up, we'll give you the latest update out of Madison, Wisconsin, the reaction to the political left as a result of this shooting. I ask an open-ended question, and I sincerely want an answer. What exactly would Joe Biden want Congress to do that would have prevented this tragedy in Madison, Wisconsin? We're going to do that in just a moment. Plus, we now have a report that Central American officials at a variety of Central American countries are saying that they don't, quote, have the capacity to take back their own people if Donald Trump wants to support them. I have a message to those Central American countries coming up in just a couple of minutes. Plus your telephone calls, 615-737-9986. We'd love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. You can also get your comments in on the membersnutrition.com super text line, which is no longer the membersnutrition.com super text line, but I keep saying that because it was the membersnutrition.com super text line, and I can't stop saying it. It's just the super text line. Although, if you want to sponsor it, hit me up on the super text line, and I'll forward your information to people who can make that happen, and I'll stop screwing it up. Bel K.
You're a history buff. We both kind of have a foot in that world.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We've talked about it plenty of times with varying degrees of agreement. But there is something I just found out today, and I want to know if you know it because I expect that you probably will.
Okay.
Which president had the first name Hiram?
Which president had the first name Hiram?
Yes.
That's a good question. I feel like I should know this.
You know what? After I tell you, you're probably going to be like, oh, yeah.
Hiram. All right. So obviously this president did not go by Hiram.
No.
Okay. I mean, I could go back and I could just float backwards. I don't think it's any president in.
Stop looking at the text line.
I'm not looking at the text line. I'm looking at the Google machine going, man, I wish I could Google it. I mean, I feel like if I just Googled it, it would be fine. I don't know, and so I want to guess. And I'm going to say it's not Zachary Taylor. I mean, look, there's people that are responding right now. I don't know. I would like to guess. Ulysses? What?
Grant.
No.
When he was appointed to West Point, there was a clerical error on his paperwork. His middle name is Ulysses. There is no name he has no name that starts with an S. And they accidentally put Ulysses S on his paperwork at West Point. And when he saw the name written down, he was like, I like that. I'm going to keep it. So Hiram became Ulysses.
Hiram Ulysses Grant was the 18th president of the United States of America and a known drunkard.
Well, I wouldn't have voted for him if he wasn't.
Serving, nor would Joe Biden, serving 1869 to 1877. Yeah, I mean, that's a great trivia question.
I've never heard that story before.
I don't know that story either. That's great. I could tell you all manner of presidential trivia, and now I know something new to add to my quiver.
I'm a little shocked you didn't know that already.
Shortest president in American history?
That would have been Robert Reich. Oh, no, he wasn't a president.
That's pretty funny. I think I got this right. I think it's James Madison, who's like 5'4".
Ooh,
I'm taller than him.
He would never get the nomination in this day and age because you got to look good on TV.
Oh, well, that's right. I mean, there's a lot of them that wouldn't have gotten the nomination. And I could do a lot of physical attributes. Tallest president in American history?
Oh, that's got to be Lincoln.
And it was Abraham Lincoln. Although I think Trump gets up there a little bit close, but I think Lincoln has him by a couple of inches. I need to fact check.
Is that a murder hornet? Is that a murder hornet flying around in there?
It's something. We got critters in the. We got
a murder hornet in there.
Shortest president ever. Yeah, James Madison. I was right. 5'4" tall.
So that's why I thought you'd know the Ulysses story because you know those kind of minutia details about their past and their subject.
Abraham Lincoln was 6'4". Lyndon Baines Johnson 6'3" and 1/2. Donald J. Trump 6'3" tall, and then it goes down from there. Oh, Thomas Jefferson was a tall drink of water at 6'2.5". And then our shortest president comes in at a paltry 5'4". James Madison, short in stature, but a mind like a steel trap.
You want to be a founding father at that height? Come on, dude.
Benjamin Harrison and Martin Van Buren both at 5'6". Our largest president in the United States was?
You talking about fat
Taft?
or large?
I'm talking about fat.
Okay.
Taft?
William Howard Taft. He reportedly got stuck in the White House bathtub. That's
and
true.
then who was the Roosevelt that was really big? Teddy Roosevelt.
I mean, Teddy was athletic though. Teddy was big, but he was robust. Grover Cleveland was fatter than Teddy Roosevelt.
Was he?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, no question. So the story about Taft that who knows if it's true or not. Are you looking up him getting stuck in the White House bathtub?
No, man. I'm wondering how people back then got fat.
Well, I mean, they ate well during the Christmas holidays. That's how they got, fruitcake, all that kind of thing. So William Howard Taft is reportedly responsible. Y'all know the 7th inning stretch in baseball?
Yes.
It is a tradition. that between the top of the seventh inning and the bottom of the seventh inning, you have the seventh inning stretch where everybody gets up and stretches their legs and kind of gets the blood flowing again, then sits back down and gets ready for the end of the game. William Howard Taft is reportedly responsible for that tradition. He went to a baseball game as president of the United States of America, and he was over 300 pounds, and the seats were even smaller than they are today. And he squeezed himself, as the story goes, into one of those seats as president. And eventually he got tired of sitting there with all of his fat squished in, and he decided to stand up. What happens when the president of the United States stands up?
Everybody else stands up.
Everybody else stands up. And so everybody else stood up, and that is reportedly, and I know it's anecdotal, but that is reportedly where the seventh inning stretch.
And even if it's not true, it's such a great story. You just got to go with it.
You just decide that it's true. And there was and I forget who it was that I think it was Taft too that reportedly was the first president of the United States to throw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game.
That sounds vaguely correct for some reason.
Does it say who helped the president out of the bathtub? Because you know he was completely naked.
First lady, maybe?
I'm telling you.
If he got halfway out, then slipped and fell back in.
I'm going to look this up. Taft bathtub. Let's see what we get. Let's see how good the interweb is. The story of William Howard Taft getting stuck in a White House bathtub is a myth that began circulating decades after his presidency.
Rats.
There is no confirmed documentation to support the story. In fact, there are several reasons to believe that William Howard Taft did not get stuck in a bathtub.
Rats.
All right, here's reason number one that we believe he didn't get stuck in a bathtub.
Okay.
Before he became president, Taft had a custom-built, extra-large bathtub installed in the White House. Well, there you go. See, that's probably where the story came from. People said that he did that after he got stuck.
Some horses went thirsty.
Mm-hmm. Before traveling to Panama to inspect the Panama Canal, Taft had a custom-built tub installed in the USS North Carolina. That tub, hey, Weaver, that tub was 7 feet 1 inches long and 41 inches wide. Weighed a ton.
Boy, man, I could have had fun in that as a kid with my sharks and my dinosaurs.
Oh, but here's where it came from. According to Taft's White House butler, Erwin Hoover, he wrote that Taft would sometimes, quote, stick in the tub, and he would help him get out. Well, there you go. I mean, that's stuck in the bathtub, right?
Saw the president naked, getting out of a tub.
Big fella, too.
Man, I am such a juvenile.
In a New Haven, Connecticut hotel, Taft stayed in a suite. Writing to a friend that the bathtub was so large that an ordinary-sized man could float in it. I mean, these are the fun facts that you get on the Matt Murphy show that you don't get.
That's just scary that they try to sell it as being that big, and he's still got his fat ass stuck in there.
I mean,
I'm telling you, man.
I'm going to call that confirmed that if the butler said, well, sometimes he would stick in the tub. I mean, what's the butler saying? That he would just hang out there in the tub?
I don't think the butler would be making a talking point out of something that mundane.
I wouldn't think so either. There's some presidential history trivia for you on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And it's more fun than talking about Joe Biden, who, by the way...
Who would love to be helped out of a tub, I'm sure.
Joe Biden is desperate to try to repair his legacy.
Oh, goodness.
Attempting to convince the American people that the economy is improving under his watch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just everything. Hey, look, everything we were trying to do, it's going swimmingly. You cannot, as I said before the election, I'll say it after the election. The problem that Joe Biden had, the obvious reason that he had to drop out of the race, one, he was going nowhere in it. Number two, he couldn't find his butt from a hole in the ground standing on a stage beside Donald Trump, and it was pretty obvious that he had no idea what he was doing. And I still maintain the theory, and I've said it from the beginning, that was always a trial balloon to make sure that he could manage to get himself to November. And they knew they had a serious problem long before he stepped on that stage. They agreed to that debate because they knew that he was infirm, and they did not give him his cocktail. They gave him some sort of uppers cocktail before the State of the Union address, February or March, whenever it was, and he was on fire, man. Y'all remember? He was all over the joint. He was just steroid city, it looked like.
Yeah.
Well, none of that happened during the debate. Why?
Nope.
I think they held off giving him the cocktail because they wanted to make sure he could do it on his own, and he couldn't. Anyway, but Joe Biden, his economy wasn't working then. The language wasn't working then. And now the liberal Democrats are running around saying we never should have said that it was getting better. That's their language now. They said, well, we shouldn't. We misspoke when we told the American people that the economy was getting better, so they came to expect a better economy than they were going to get. And because of that lost us the election.
Misspoke.
Whatever.
I did what I came to do.
Bidenomics, baby. Bidenomics. It's working. Oh, so gross.
You got to laugh to keep from crying, man.
I mean, this prophecy has been fulfilled, and I don't claim to be the only one who proclaimed it. But when Joe Biden won the presidency, I said in 2021, this dude is the Jimmy Carter of our generation. I said it. I'm documented on it. You can fact check me on it. And I long said that Donald Trump had the opportunity. Donald Trump's about to be Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. Seriously. I mean, think about Nixon's presidency and the manner that the media went after Nixon. They hated Richard Nixon from the moment he stepped into the White House. They hated him long before he stepped in the White House. They hated him as vice president under Dwight D. Eisenhower. And they loved that Kennedy beat him. They hated that he came back into the arena in 68. They hated that he won the election in 68. And they went after him hammer and tongs immediately. Richard Nixon did not do a poor job as president of the United States. As a matter of fact, got reelected fairly handily in 1972. However, it was some of the shenanigans that went on during his reelection campaign in the committee to reelect the president that eventually would be his undoing. And it's not, remember my Nixon doctrine, guys, it's not what you do that gets you in the most trouble. It's when you try to cover up what you do that gets you into the most trouble. It's mostly the cover-up that's the bigger problem and the bigger crime. Anyway, so Donald Trump has an opportunity now, if Joe Biden represents Jimmy Carter in the 1970s, to be both Richard Nixon first term and Ronald Reagan second term. And he was unleashed the other day, man. I mean, absolutely unleashed. And it's now breaking that he is about to unleash his power as not only a president-elect, but also as an American citizen to go after some of the organizations that put their thumbs on the scale attempting to alter the outcome of this election cycle, to include the Des Moines Register. Now, you might recall this media story that came out, I don't know, a week or so before the election, maybe a little more, when the Des Moines, Iowa Register and their pollster came out with a poll claiming that Kamala Harris was +3 in Iowa. It seemed not just wrong, it seemed egregiously wrong. And it was. And y'all know me in polls. I think we misuse polls. I think polls are used to create narratives now, and I don't think that's the reason that we have polls, and I don't think it's an appropriate use for polls, and I just disdain them. I have great disdain for polls as they are used by American media companies today. That said, that's not what this is about. This is about intentional malfeasance, intentionally corrupting a poll for the purpose of affecting the outcome of an election. And Donald Trump has decided to sue the Des Moines, Iowa over the final Seltzer poll because they believe it rose to the level of election interference. We'll say where this goes. But until these media outlets like ABC News, which just paid a $16 million settlement, like CNN that repeatedly pays settlements to individuals that they defame. I mean, remember that, what was that kid's name? Saltzman?
Saltzman. Yeah, they're accused him of being a racist.
Right. Because he was just standing there.
He was just standing there, and it turned out that some mentally ill protester was banging a drum in his face.
and they said that he was the racist.
Yeah,
and he was.
He was.
And I think that kid got like the initial I want to say it was like $200 million. I mean, it's a lot of money. A lot of money that CNN had to fork over. These media companies continue to have to fork over cash, and their reputations are in absolute tatters. Is there any wonder that we don't trust? I mean, I say to you all the time, friends, what do I say? I watch CNN so you don't have to. Don't watch this garbage network. It's a garbage network full of garbage people on television spewing garbage.
Yeah, Nick Sandman.
Sandman.
Yeah.
How much did he get?
He sought $275 million.
Mm-hmm.
The lawsuit did, but it looks like he got, I want to say $15 million.
Well, that's pretty good.
Pretty similar to what ABC is paying.
Mm-hmm. There you go. These media companies are going to learn that, you know what? You can say what you want to say, but if you say things that are patently false, you're going to be held to account. There are ways in civil court for you to be held to account. It is 23 after the hour. I'm going to be held to account if I don't go to a break. We'll get to your calls momentarily. 615-737-9986. Scott, you'll be first. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief wishes you a very happy holiday season and a Merry Christmas. If your holiday season is fraught with pain through your back, through your neck, through your knees, through your hips, through your elbows, wherever it might hurt, there is a solution, friends, and it is through the Dr. Gill Center. Are you tired of this pain? I can understand it. I was. Take it from me. I don't just talk about the Dr. Gill Center on the radio. I am a customer of the Dr. Gill Center. I am a patient. And I trusted this team implicitly. I trust Dr. Wendy. I trust Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, and the rest of the team that Dr. Gill has so capably put together to approach your pain in an individual and personalized way. Call them today at 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838, and schedule that appointment. If your pain has become debilitating, if you're popping pills, don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. He can help. His team can help. Visit callmepainfree.com. That's callmepainfree.com. And let's work together to make your pain-free life a reality in 2025 with the Dr. Gill Center.
Officials in Wisconsin say they're still trying to determine a motive in yesterday's deadly school shooting, and we'll tell you a little bit about a document the police chief says media should be wary of for now that's circulating online. That's coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. We appreciate you over in the newsroom. 3 minutes until we get to that newscast. Post haste. We've got you on the phones right now. Also, I want to read from the statement from President Joe Biden that says we need Congress to act now went on, and it doesn't make any sense because they will not tell us exactly what he is asking Congress to do that would have prevented what happened yesterday in Madison. I mean, if there's something that could have prevented it, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm not against listening. I might be hesitant to support your solution, but I'm listening. More on that coming up in a moment. Right now, it's Scott's turn in Lewisburg. Hello, Scott.
Hello, sir.
How are you, sir?
Well, I've been doing better. I heard about Johnny B, and I just want everyone to know that I'm on disability, and I love each one of you guys, and I'm willing to give part of my monthly check if it would help Johnny B and everybody could pay his salary.
Well, that's very sweet of you, Scott. I mean, it's so kind, and it demonstrates the goodness of your heart. And it obviously, nobody would ask that of you. I appreciate the offer. I don't, I couldn't suppose that it would change any of the decision-making process. But that just it demonstrates to me how much, Johnny B means to you. And I promise you, he means that much and so much more to us.
Well, it's not, Matt, it's not just Johnny B. I get up every morning and I cut the radio on at 5 o'clock and I quit at 8 o'clock at night. And y'all are like family. Yes. And believe it or not, that sounds crazy, but a lot of times y'all give me inspiration to go on each day.
Well, God bless you, Scott. I mean, that's tender. It means a lot. And I don't know if you caught the first hour of the show because I feel like I said the same. I mean, I don't know that people away from this station, away from our state, I don't know that people in corporate America, frankly, the group that owns our company, and Scott, thank you for the call. I don't think that they fully get the nature of the relationship that we all have, and sorry about that, Scott. I appreciate you. I appreciate your kind words. God bless you. And anything we can do for you, you call me back anytime and we'll do it. I'm late for a break, and I appreciate the telephone call. But I feel exactly the same way. There's so many of you that I want to meet that I've never met, but I feel like I have. And I know that when you talk about, when you speak to, with, or of Johnny B., it's times 1,000. I mean, because of the type of man that he is and the manner in which he's comported himself. And listen, he is he's the coolest of the cool. There'll never be another. And he's all good, and he's going to continue to be a friend of this community and a friend of the people around him, and we love him to death. And man, oh man, I can't say enough about the man. 30 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got traffic problems out there. We're still dealing with that overturned vehicle blocking the right shoulder, 24 eastbound in Cedar Hill, Robertson County. Berry Hill got an injury crash blocking the right lane of 65 southbound right after 440. And then in Rutherford County, 24 eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard there in Laverne got a crash. Officials in Wisconsin say they're still trying to determine a motive in the deadly shooting Monday at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison. Today, Police Chief Sean Barnes asking reporters not to share a document he says has been swirling online.
At this time, we cannot verify the document. We ask that you not share the document or spread any information that may be false.
Yeah, police say they're focusing on this document, social media accounts which paint a portrait of a young person gravitating towards potential neo-Nazi ideology and violence that the police chief says they just cannot confirm right now. or validate. Alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Hewerman charged with a 7th murder in New York today. The Suffolk County District Attorney says they linked Hewerman to Valerie Mack's death in part through DNA analysis. The DA, Raymond Tierney, telling reporters they continue to investigate other murders near Gilgo Beach on Long Island in New York and in other areas.
I remind everyone that all of these cases and all of these murders are just allegations, and we look forward to proving them in court.
Yeah, officials say this latest victim, 24-year-old Valerie Mack, had been working as an escort in Philadelphia. Her remains were found several years ago in 2 different parts of Long Island. And House Speaker Mike Johnson urging fellow Republicans to get behind the short-term spending measure to avoid a government shutdown Friday night. The Speaker says the measure will fund government agencies through March 14th. And Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty was asked about it on WTN's Matt Murphy Show today.
Well, that's one aspect that I think our listeners should be pleased with, and that's the fact that this continues only until March, but it does continue until March. That gives the Trump administration the chance to come in and figure out and negotiate the balance of the year as opposed to leaving it to Chuck Schumer and the Biden administration.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Over the holidays, have you noticed that you have some unwanted guests in your home? I mean, of course, you've got the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and the brothers and the sisters and all of those wanted guests. Maybe some of those are unwanted too, but what about the unwanted ones, the real unwanted ones, the roaches and the stink bugs and the rodents, the mice perhaps? They're coming into your house. They smell the food. They feel the warmth, and they want it all. And you don't want them to have any of it. What are you going to do about it? I suggest that you go to U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest, J.K., Erica Brister, and the rest of the U.S. Pest team, they wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if you have noticed unwanteds coming into your home, it's time to get U.S. Pest as a part of your family. Call them today at 590-1260. That's, of course, in 615-590-1260. Or go online to uspest.com. Ask them about their full-service pest control with a 100% money-back guarantee. Termite protection with a 100% money-back guarantee. Crawl space service with a 100% money-back guarantee. U.S. Pest, the one and only that I would recommend. Call J.K. and Erica today at U.S. Pest. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for my friends at Defend Systems. You know, sadly, when we talk about situations involving school shootings, I think about Bring Fiddler. I don't say I'm sad to think about Bring Fiddler, but it saddens me that we still have arenas in our midst in the state of Tennessee that are not fully fortified and understanding as to how to react in the unlikely event that you would see violence at your doorstep. Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Brink has dedicated his life into helping you understand how to be safer in your school, in your place of business, in your church, any place people gather, and what to do in the unlikely event that violence breaks out in your workplace, in your school, in your church, or any other place that people gather. And those are two separate things, right? How to fortify, how to make yourself as safe as possible, and then what to do in case something happens. It involves active shooter response, workplace violence prevention, site surveys and site consultation, security improvement consultation, and then emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical training, and all of it is customized specific to your facility and specific to your employees. Call today to find out how Brink can help you. Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. DefendSystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A few more moments of yours truly. I am off for the rest of the week and the 2 days prior to the Christmas holiday break next Wednesday. And then I am on from 3 until 7 o'clock for the rest of the year and on from 3 until 7 o'clock. Starting officially on January 2nd. And as you may or may not have heard, Bell is going to stay right here. Not that that was my decision to make. That was a decision that was made above my pay grade. If I had any decision-making power at all, I would make the decision to take that soundbite away from Bell. But obviously, I do not have that decision.
Either that or, keep guacamole and Mexican food out of the break room.
Sadly, you know what's the most frustrating part about that soundbite, Ken?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, it's literally him. He did it on the air one day, me. And I pulled it and isolated it.
Here, let me see if I can replicate it. Ready?
It's
That's
close.
pretty good.
Close. Lacks a little enthusiasm.
Here, well, let's comparison. All right, ready?
Stop it.
Oh, now it's sounding real similar.
Oh my gosh!
If there's any wonder why Brian Wilson has made the decision to retire, just listen to this clip. This dude is on before me. I'm out.
Oh.
Okay.
Man, it just never gets old. I've been on this planet for 56 years. And it's not going to be old if I'm on this planet for 86 years.
Listen, my sense of humor might have morphed a little bit, but what I thought was funny at 13, I still think is funny.
Yes, sir.
And I'm always going to think is funny. And that's funny. So not to transition to less funny things, but I think I need to before we get out of here because I promised that we would. So it was the White House came out with a public statement yesterday, statement from President Joe Biden on the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Wisconsin. I'm going to read you this statement, and then I'm going to reflect on this because I'm genuinely confused about what exactly they think Congress can do to prevent this specific gun violence. It is illegal for a 15-year-old to own a handgun. It is illegal for a 15-year-old to possess a handgun. It is illegal for a 15-year-old to access a handgun. It is obviously illegal to take any gun, no matter your age, to a school where children gather. It is illegal to, if I need to say it for those in the back, kill people. Yet all of these things happened. Why and how this 15-year-old individual slipped through the cracks, we're going to figure that out. We see some of the manifesto. If this manifesto was written by this 15-year-old, and I don't know if it was or it was not, I'm holding back on relating it. I mean, and by the way, if this is truly the writings of this 15-year-old, It is as frustrating as anything that we in the city of Nashville in the state of Tennessee had such issues getting our hands on some of the writings of the individual responsible for those atrocious acts at the Covenant School, considering that while vile and vulgar and ugly and hate-filled and evil, it does give us a certain understanding of the mindset of the individual that would commit these senseless types of acts of violence. Similarly, it's amazing that these other pages are being released so quickly. Now, the authorities in Madison, Wisconsin say they don't know if this is real or not. It looks authentic. Some of the sources that I'm getting it from believe it to be authentic. I've read it, and if this is the writings of the 15-year-old, she was incredibly mentally disturbed, had a tremendous amount of hatred in her heart, was obsessed with mass shootings, apparently was obsessed with the Columbine shootings particularly, and sadly, as is the case in so many different incidents like this, if this is real, and we'll find out, it feels like this was the manifestation of evil and hatred and mental disturbance of some sort combined with an obsession to become a copycat. One of the reasons that you will never hear me utter her name. One of the reasons I don't think I've ever uttered the name of the Covenant School shooter on the air. I don't have any desire to do so. Now, I'm not begrudging people that do. I mean, sometimes you have to do it to further the story, and maybe I've slipped up from time to time, but I try not to because I don't want to promote these individuals as individuals.
Did you say she was identified as trans?
No, she was not.
Okay. I was just kind of curious because the parallels between Covenant and this are a little odd, that they were both women, they were both Christian schools, and it's exceedingly rare for women to be mass murderers or serial killers. It does happen.
So I've seen, at least that's the information that we have so far. There are multiple reports that she was not transgender and did not identify as such and had a boyfriend. So that would, all of those things in combination would indicate that it's not true. Although, I mean, maybe something else comes out and we determine that perhaps she was, but nothing that I've seen would indicate that. But President Joe Biden says, today families in Madison, Wisconsin are grieving the loss of those who were killed and wounded at Abundant Life Christian School. It's shocking and unconscionable. We need Congress to act now. From Newtown to Uvalde, Parkland to Madison, to so many other shootings that don't receive attention, it is unacceptable that we are unable to protect our children from this scourge of gun violence. Yes, I agree. It is unacceptable that we continue to move forward without an action plan to make sure that we have armed individuals protecting our children, or at least security screening protecting our children. I talked to a security guard when we did our toy field, I guess last week it was, down at Nissan Stadium. You know those things that you go through at Nissan Stadium, the little detection devices, and there's someone looking at a monitor? You know, those aren't metal detectors. Those are scanners that scan the size and shape. Those are smart scanners that scan the size and shape of objects so as to identify something that could be a weapon. But they don't do so based on the metallic nature of the item itself. It's a different sort of technology. And for the life of me, if we think it important enough to scan every one of the 70,000 people, or in the case of the Titans this year, the 20,000 people that walk into Nissan Stadium on any given game day, why in the world are we not willing to do it to our young people? Or for our young people, I should say. Why wouldn't we do that? Biden goes on, Jill and I are praying for all of the victims today, including the teenager and teenage student who were killed and those who sustained injuries. We're grateful for the first responders who quickly arrived on the scene, et cetera, et cetera. My administration has taken aggressive action to combat the gun violence epidemic. We passed the most significant gun safety legislation in nearly 30 years. and I've taken more executive action to reduce gun violence than any president in history, and I created the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Well, then why wasn't this prevented? One would ask. But more is needed. Congress must pass common sense gun safety laws. Universal background checks would not have stopped this. National red flag law would not have stopped this. Ban on assault weapons would not have stopped this. Ban on high-capacity magazines would not have stopped this. None of those things would have stopped any of this. None of it. This was a 15-year-old who could not legally possess a gun, who did not apply for gun ownership through a background check, obviously because she's 15. Now, I don't know how she got her hands on the gun. That remains to be seen. And if her father or a family member allowed her to access that gun, then there might be some ramifications on that end. But none of these things that you're proposing would have anything to do with this particular case, sir. Which indicates to me that if you had all of those things passed and this happened, what would you ask for next? The ultimate goal of most liberal Democrats is to see a ban on gun ownership in America. Because if they got their assault weapon ban, as they call it, or high-capacity magazine ban, as they call it, I mean, sadly, they would go after the next thing on the list. And ultimately, it is handgun violence that causes the most death in America on an annual basis. You can look it up. You don't have to believe me. And eventually, they're going to come for those, too. While bypassing the real reasons and real common sense solutions that actually could have an impact on some of the violence happening today, and ignoring normal responses like, I don't know, detecting guns coming into the school system or arming individuals that would have the ability to fight back and potentially prevent, to create hard targets instead of soft ones. But those solutions don't have anything to do with disarming you. So Democrats don't talk about those very much. We shall talk to Brian Wilson next on The Drive and what he has planned for this afternoon. It's 10 minutes until 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 5 minutes until 3 o'clock. And it is indeed closing time for the Matt Murphy Show, at least during this time slot. We'll crank it back up after Christmas. I'm out for the rest of the holiday leading to Christmas, but Brian Wilson is in the saddle today and until December 24th when he permanently parks the drive. I think I said that appropriately. What's up, Wilson?
We'll put on the emergency brake and everything.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Just had a wonderful weekend, as you know, through our little Christmas party this year,
so
and it was a lot of fun to see people, and it turned into something I did not expect. Which my wife, Cabana wife, has been keeping things from me.
She's sneaky.
She's sneaky, she is. And so I did not know that great longtime high school friends were going to show up. I didn't know that certain family members were going to show up. And I didn't know that what was supposed to be just a holiday party that turned into more of a thing that was a tribute to me. And it was very, very touching. And everybody was so warm and gracious. I just want to say thank you again. And let people know, because of things that are going on, people are asking, well, did Brian get forced out? No, Brian did not get forced out. Brian had told them 3 years ago that he was going to retire after this election cycle. So this has been something that's long been planned, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea about that.
Well, I mean, I understand. And, I expressed it at the beginning of the show, Brian. I mean, and obviously reflecting on the loss of Johnny B. He will no longer be with Super Talk on a regular basis. And that's just sad news that was announced this morning. But, a lot of times people want to try to read more. We try to be as open and honest as we possibly can be. We're such a forward-facing.
And sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, because
people have a hard time understanding, but there's sometimes you are prohibited from saying anything. Well, let's just say sometimes lawyers get involved. Let's put it that way.
Right. But as far as you're good, I mean, Brian, and I think I can share this. Brian expressed to me at a dinner table at your home some time ago that this was your plan. And I love it that you are such a success story in the sense of you're so successful over the 50 years in your broadcasting career, but also in how you worked it out in your mind to finish it off, and wonderful for you, and congratulations to you that you're doing it in the fashion that you wanted to.
Well, yeah, it's been a blessing to be able to do that, and sometimes in broadcasting you don't get to leave on your own terms. I have been able to do that in this particular case. There've been other cases where I didn't.
Right.
But one of the things that I've always tried to do is I always understand that I am but an employee of an organization, and when for one reason or another the job comes to a close, we in this business sometimes your contracts are not renewed. Sometimes there are business decisions that are made, and I've certainly been the on the end of some of that over the course of my career. But you know what? If you leave with your head held high and you're nice on the way out the door, it's amazing the things that will happen. If you just like every time I have ever left a job, I try to leave with dignity and politeness on the way out the door and as a professional. And then you know what? It's funny. 2 or 3 weeks later, somebody says, "Hey, you want to go do this?" I say, "Yeah, I'll do that for a while."
It's amazing.
And, I've never had to ever look for a job. They come to me. And so, but this time it's a retirement. But again, retirement doesn't mean gone. I am still going to be a part of this radio station. I'm going to be filling in from time to time when people take off for their vacation or they need a day off. I'm going to be slipping in. So my voice is still going to be heard here. I'm still going to be representing clients, it appears. And we're working out some other things that may, be things that I can do that you'll be seeing in the new year, we hope. So
did you hear your new nickname that Chris Webber gave you?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, yeah. He said we were talking about the variety of roles that you're taking on in addition to the duties that you'll be doing here in your retirement, honeydew list and all of these things. And I said, well, he said he's president of the Chamber of Commerce of Watertown. And we realized that's PCOC, which is Peacock. You're the Peacock of Watertown.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to make Watertown great again.
Yeah,
that's what
baby.
we're going to do.
I love it.
Yeah.
What's coming up on the drive, Brian?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to start with the border story because there are a couple of border stories out there that are just unbelievable to me. I mean, really, the developments that I go, are you kidding me? This is one of those stories that's going to make you really, really, really angry. So if you can tolerate that, stay with us. I'll be back up with that at 3 o'clock.
All right, Brian Wilson's on the way right after Ken Weaver's newscast. Ken Weaver's newscast is coming up right now. The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hope you're able to listen to every single bit of that. Have a wonderful Christmas, everyone. I'm done until the 26th. I'll be here at 3 o'clock then. For all of my midday listeners, I love you, love you, love you. I cherish you. Hopefully you can listen at 3 on a daily basis. Have a great Christmas, folks. So long, everybody.